Right, here we are with round 2. We have Kim versus Aaron. Looks like both players are just setting up. Okay, looks like everything should be going smoothly. All right, really exciting here because we do get to see some Zephagamon action piloted by Aaron. And looks like they're going up against Luga. Oh, comes down already with the analog search. Are all of those Darugas off that search? That's crazy. That means there's only possibly one left in the deck after this search, because it looks like, oh, that's crazy. That's a crazy search. So it looks like with the Savaga side of things, just setting up, coming down with the training, with the Shoto, we can see those Altar cards, which certainly there is a Zephagamon fan right here, which is really cool to see. It looks like there's a Galemon. I believe the one... Is that a Galemon or is it Terramon? I believe, actually, it's a Terramon at the back. Should be the one that's the promo one. So when it comes to this matchup, Zephagamon really thrives from having Digimon on the opponent's board in order to combo with Vortex and Shoto and sort of be able to attack over things and even pierce and do damage at the same time. That's really the maximum output that Zephagamon can put out, basically. So when it comes to against Lugamon, they are trying to set up with, I believe if they're playing Takemikazuchi, they are trying to set up going for a big turn OTK as well. So it really depends on during the mid-game stages if they have any Digimon established on the board. Like, for example, as we can see right here, there's the Lugamon there, which definitely entices the Zephagamon player to go ahead and try to start comboing it off and try to get as much value as possible as soon and as quickly. So then they can start going for attacks and start doing damage. Comes down with the EX7 Zephaga, using Vortex, using Shoto to unsuspend with Piercing and Blocker, and that immediately gives them 2 damage if they choose to attack over it. And it makes sense here because here checking the security, oh, actually it is not Lugamon. This actually is a DexDorugoramon deck. So this is one of the things we can kind of see like in the early stages. We may not know, but this seems like to be a DexDorugoramon deck with the purple base. So that changes a lot of things because with DexDorugoramon, they are likely to have Digimon out on the board. Now, for DexDorugoramon, since it's playing the purple base, it doesn't have access to the Dorumon protection unless it is also played in its deck, but they kind of don't have the protection against Zephagamon bottom decking. But Zephagamon thrives on beating down the opponent's Digimon, so whenever they come out to go for the combos, if they can potentially swing over the Dorugoramon or any of the big sixes, it makes it difficult for them. But when it comes to interaction as well, depending on having the Dorugamon taunt into a Dorugreymon, depending on the turn, the Dorugoramon player can actually potentially pop the Zephagamon stack if it doesn't have protection as well. So a lot of things to keep in mind when it comes to this matchup. So it looks like Lugamon comes out, goes into Dorugamon here, pitches 1 to draw 1. And with that, we'll see if they're able, if they want to go into Dorugray as well. But they are missing a tamer here at the moment, but they do decide to go into Dorugray. Dorugray has collision, which does force them to block. But without the tamer, it would be very difficult to combo and get into Dorugoramon for free. So it looks like they're going to go into DexDoru here, de-digivolving the entire stack. All the way down back into a Terramon, by giving them 5 memory to work with as well. Now with 5 memory, there's a huge opportunity for Zephagamon to climb up all over again, and they can potentially go over and attack, even swing over the DexDoru. If they're able to get rid of this DexDoru, they're going to be in a really, really good position because they can pierce for another 2 checks and establish a lot of momentum and basically take a huge lead right off the bat, because then on the Dorugoramon side, they will have to be forced to rebuild all over again. Going into Dorugoramon without DexDoru protection, that's one of the biggest ways for them to out the Zephagamon matchup, because they can go into it to de-digivolve and then pop. But now that the DexDoru is alive already, this makes it difficult. So it looks like the Zephagamon player is not able to find the pieces that they need to climb up here. So they end and finish it off with a green memory boost to search. It looks like they played out the Terramon to search as well earlier to try to grab as many pieces as they need. And this is really important for them to be able to set up as quickly and cycle through pieces as soon as possible, so then they can actually start addressing the board. Otherwise, DexDorugoramon will go for the pressure and start attacking on their side as well. Giving them only 1 memory to work with at the start, which is totally fine. Really crucial just for the Dorugoramon player to find a way to get access into their Mind Link Tamer, whether if it's AG that they play or Cracker Fang. Goes for 1 check, hits into a Shoto, which is also the EX7 one. And with DexDorugoramon being able to stay in the board, Shoto is going to continuously give them a lot of memory to work with at the start. Goes down for a Death X play here early. Hard Digivolve straight into it for 6 cost, getting rid of the Terramon. And it looks like the Dorugoramon is trying to sort of cycle through pieces. It looks like they really need to draw and find something. They desperately need to draw cards at this moment, so then they can try to build an optimal second stack, which is probably looking like why they go for the Death X right here. Now back to Zephagamon. Will they come out from raising? Looks like they're not going to. Answers back with a giant missile, completing, basically getting rid of the stack entirely. This is really, really good position, a really good opportunity to use that giant missile, because that perfectly puts the opponent back to 1 memory to work with, and they end with an AG right here off the bat. This is why the early search of the analog is going to hit backfire really, really greatly, just because now they're going to be stuck trying to find their Dorugamon for the longest time. If not, they're going to have to find a way to get into the level 4, and it can't be a Dorugamon anymore at that point in order to climb. So that is a really tough position to be in for the Dorugoramon player, but it looks like the Zephagamon side as well, they're just continuing to search, continue to find their pieces. We do see them grab the Grand Gale, so it's also just a matter of they have a level 4 to work with, and then the level 6. With the resources of Shoto, as long as Dorugoramon gives them a Digimon, they'll continue to gain 2 memory at the start of main phase, and with the help of Green Memory Boost, they can easily go up to the level 6 stack once again. Looks like the Lugomon comes out and puts Cracker Fang underneath to gain the memory as well. And with the Baomon, they are playing the BT17 Baomon, I believe, which lets them Digivolve into Dorugamon from the trash, which is really good in this position, because then that means the analog trash there actually helped them get access to the resource, and they can get into it, and they're able to taunt a Digimon for a potential free Evo if they can find another Dorugray to get into. goes for a proto form, goes into Dorogray, perfectly playing around the memory gauge, just giving the opponent only one to work with essentially at this moment. And this is the point where they can gain a memory. Looks like they want to stay in raising because it can be dangerous. Dorogray is definitely going to block it because the attack is redirected. Will they be able to go into a Dorogora here? Looks like they don't have a Dorogora, or they haven't chosen to get into, but if they were able to get into the Dorogora, it will be a really good value for them, being able to evo into a level 6 for free immediately. Potentially getting rid of one of their Shotos can really help equalize the board state and balance it out. Looks like the Zephagamon side of things, they're continuing to set up, plays down another Shoto. Now with the third Shoto, actually, they're going to gain a lot of memory at their start. They're going to essentially gain 3 at the start and main, and they're going to have a lot to work with. It looks like, if they're able to climb up the line next turn, once they push out, they could go for a huge clapback play. But here on the Doru side of things, seems like they'd still be missing a level 6 at the moment. And I guess if they do find a Dorugoramon here, does it make sense to go into it during this moment as well? Goes for the Mind Link. They do go into Dorogora because at this moment, the taunt combo is essentially used already from the last turn. So it makes sense to sort of approach this more proactively, go into Dorogora as soon as possible, get rid of one Tamer, and then probably start attacking. We can also keep in mind that there's the DexDorugoramon that was bottom decked. So it's also a matter if they have a DexDorugoramon in trash to also give them a bit of counterplay. Dorogora goes for the swing. Checks into a green memory boost. This is a lot of value for the Zephagamon player. It's really, again, a matter if they have the 4, 5, 6 for the follow-up clapback, because if they do, they can potentially actually go for some pretty crazy combos there too. Ends a turn with Analog, grabbing some pieces. And keeping the Dorugoramon there, suspended. Unfortunately, there's no blocker. But this is definitely the opportunity to push out right now. Looks like it's pushing out with a Gaomon. And gaining 2 memory, having at the start of the turn, being able to work with 4 right off the bat, can easily get into a Grand Gale, no problem. Uses the boost first, delay, plays out a Muchomon to ensure that they're probably going to go for some combos to, rack up additional DP. And by racking up DP, ensures that they can swing over the Dorogora. Suspends Muchomon off Grand Galemon's effect. Grand Galemon is going to gain immunity against Digimon effects as well, meaning that the DexDoru, even if there was one in the trash, wouldn't be able to actually directly answer that stack. Pops the boost, and now it's a matter of which Zephaga they're going to try to get into. There is a proto form underneath the Dorugoramon stack, so they can potentially, cycle back some resources, but looks like they're going for Vortex Resonance to search, hitting a Zephagamon off of it, and they can actually Digivolve right into it if that was their missing piece. Looks like they're going to go for the Gaomon instead. That probably means they have some form of Zephagamon to work with. They're not missing one. They're actually ready to go. Which one are they getting into? Looks like they come down with the EX7 Zephaga here. Utilizing Vortex, attempting to swing at the Dorugoramon. Grand Gale is gonna let it unsuspend. Proto form kicks in. Nope. Looks like they're actually gonna use the effect to bottom deck it instead. Finishes the turn with Shoto to unsuspend, giving Piercing and Blocker to the stack, essentially. And only leaving one memory for Dorogoro to work with. Now, with the AG in the back and Luga, they can potentially go up to 3 memory if they're able to, tuck in a Cracker Fang again, thanks to Luga. There is a Cracker Fang in trash. And by going into, they can start the turn with sort of 3 memory or start the main phase with 3 memory. They can potentially climb up all over again. And then if they're able to sort of find a way to get into Dorugamon, and then Dorugamon, taunt, plus into Dorugray, and repeat that same combo to answer back this board. They do push out the Luga. Luga is going to tuck in the Cracker Fang underneath to gain the memory. AG is also going to gain the memory. Utilizing Trash Effect of Baomon to go into Dorugamon. Dorugamon is going to trash 1, draw 1 as well. Also to note of, this is the EX Zev 7 Zephagamon, meaning it doesn't have protection like the starter deck one, but since they went into the Grand Gale last turn, they are immune to the opponent's Digimon effects only until the end of this turn, meaning if they're able, their taunt will be working and should work. And they're going to be having to attack one way or another. This is the part where we come down to see if they really have the Dorugoramon so that they can potentially go into another Dorugamon afterwards. Looks like they do come down with the Dorugoramon. This again enables the combo online so that when they block, as soon as the attack target is switched, they're going to be able to go into Dorogora or even potentially DexDorugoramon. So it looks like the Mucho is forced to swing, taunt it with the attack, block with the Dorugray. Which one are they going to get into? Looks like they don't have the Doruga, or unless they decide to go for Dex instead. Dex will de-digivolve the stack right there, taking down the Muchomon as well. Unfortunately, not being able to pop and clear the entire board off, just because there's no Dorugomon from the trash. Dorugray's Inheritable is going to play out the Tyrannomon, enabling the search, finding additional pieces that they need, and looks like there is the Dorugoramon to grab. This puts the Dorugoramon in a player in a really, really good position right now. Having those additional bodies, they can potentially go for some lethal attacks the next turn if the Zephagamon player is not able to answer this particular board during this time. They still have the Terramon to work with, so if they're able to climb up to a 2 and a 3, there might even still not be enough memory to work with because they only have 4. So they go up into a Gaomon. Thanks to the Terramon, they do reduce the Digivolution cost by 1. So that means they're still able to go into a level 5 and finish off with a level 6 for the turn if they need to, and go for some Vortex combos. Once again, since it is a DexDorugoramon, there's no protection in that stack, and they can actually potentially get rid of it. But the Tyrannomon is also able to block. But thanks to Zephagamon, there's a lot of suspending combos that I can execute off of, actually play around blockers too. Grand Gale will suspend down the Tyranno, meaning it won't gain Digimon effect protection until the end of the opponent's turn. But that wouldn't matter if they're able to get into the starter deck Zephagamon, because if they get into the starter deck Zephagamon, as we see right here, there goes the Evo Cup. Is that the champion stamp one? Very nice. And going into that, it will give it the Digimon effect immunity, at least lasting for this turn. Being able to swing over it with Vortex, as well, unsuspend with Grand Gale, and also having DP buffs alongside with it, potentially gaining some memory back at the same time. Swings over the DexDorugoramon. Ooh, goes for the Analog Youth. and also has piercing as well. Piercing for a Luga check, but at least that gets rid of the stack. But with Dorugoramon's side of things, they still have a Tyrannomon that they can work with. And if they're able to climb up all over again, that would be another great answer, but only down to 1 security. The pressure is on because the Zephagamon can potentially end the game next turn if they have the pieces to get access to Vortex, or even having the Star Deck Shoto to redirect and make an attack, direct attack. Or they just need to find a way to pierce Vortex, taking down the Tyrannomon. They need to find a way to suspend it down. And if they take down the last security, if they potentially gain their turn back after Vortex, they can swing for game as well. This is going to be a really crucial moment, because for Dorugoramon is either they're able to go into their combo all over again. Looks like they go into Dorugray. And if they can go into the combo to get into Dorugora, which we do see them have earlier, they won't be able to take down the Zephagamon, since the Tyranno unsuspended during the unsuspend phase, meaning the Zephagamon actually gains additional 3000 DP and also has protection if they try to attempt to go into a Dorugora here. There's not going to be too much value either, because the shoulders are suspended, so Dorugoramon's not really going to be able to delete anything. As a matter of fact, a DexDorugoramon might be really helpful here. Looks like they go and end the turn with an AG. And they're actually waiting to see and wanting the Zephagamon to attempt to attack. And depending on how it's going to be sequenced, the Zephagamon can gain protection and not be affected by Dorugoramon. Looks like they hard drop down the Terramon off here. The promo one, just to suspend down the Dorugray. With that plays around the potential capability of being able to digivolve into the Dorugoramon for free. Plays out agility training, putting them to 1 memory for now, but then this is the perfect opportunity to go for Vortex, attempt to attack, using Shoto to give it piercing and blocker, Grand Gale to unsuspend alongside with Shoto as well. But by taking down that stack, they can pierce for security. Looks like they try to answer with a DexDorugora from the trash to prevent it from really good answer there as well, so that it won't be deleted by battle. And because it won't be deleted by battle, Zephagamon is not able to gain the memory back right there to keep the turn, not able to pierce either to go for the checks. Deleting the Terramon on the side as well. And basically here it gives the Dorugoramon player another chance to come back. Since the DexDorugramon unsuspended, that means the Zephagamon gains immunity once again, an extra 3000 DP. How will DexDoru answer this board? Pushes out with Luga first, gains a memory off AG. Looking for the Cracker Fang to go underneath to gain another memory. Will they use Baumon to try and taunt the Zephagamon? Or is that Baumon able to access the trash? Or is it the older Baumon? This is a pretty tricky spot, just because Zephagamon's immunity against Digimon effects, and most of DexDoru's removal really comes from Digimon effects. It can be difficult just to get rid of it. You know, this Zephagamon has stayed on the board for multiple turns already. And it has blocker as well, protecting from any attacks. Looks like Yuji here also gains additional memory and draws an additional card, giving them 4 memory to work with for this turn, which is quite a lot. They can easily climb up, or they can continue to play a few more cards and find their way out. So far, a really nice feature match where we can see quite a bit of back and forth between both sides. Trying to control the board, and they go into a Dorugoramon. This gives them an opportunity to actually delete something unsuspended. However, like we mentioned, the Zephagamon does have protection. So they're going to go with a Dorugamon to finish off the turn. Mind Link out, gain memory so they can keep the turn as well. Taunting the Zephagamon. And this could be the opportunity for the Dorugoramon to actually, potentially, and stop the Zephagamon. Dorugoramon is at 12k, so with Alliance, there can be a potential, combination to go for the Alliance, check collision, force the Zephaga to block. And there should be enough DP to actually run over it. Yep, Dorugoramon does get rid of the unsuspended Shoto. Looks like they are trying to go for an attack here. Collision will be active as well as soon as they attack. Yep, goes for the Alliance, pumping up the DP all the way to at least 17k. Zephaga will have to block. And Zephaga doesn't survive the battle. Shouldn't be able to survive the battle. Using a Yuji to tuck in a source as well at the same time. Getting rid of it, Dorugoramon gets to unsuspend here. And this is the opportunity, finally getting rid of the stack. The Dorugoramon player can actually attempt to try and take down security as much as they can in this window of opportunity to try to push themselves back to even present lethal in the turn afterwards. Plays out Dorugamon back from the trash thanks to Dorugramon as well. Goes into DexDorugoramon preemptively and attempts to go for a double check once again with Alliance with at least 18k. Hitting a Gale and hitting a second Gale, which is a security effect, which does let Zephagamon play out something back from the trash that is 4 costs or less. Will they go for a Digimon? Yes, they are. Looks like they go for the Terramon here, so they can search. And having that body is really, really important because now it also gives them another opportunity to potentially clap back at the board. Ends the turn with Analog Youth, continues to search. We can see Dorugoramon's deck is thinning out very quickly because of this. Is that only 1 card left? It does have Reboot, keeping the AG underneath so that it has blocker as well. The Zephagamon gets to start their main phase with 3 memory. So they still have an opportunity to once again climb all the way up to a Zephaga. They can hold it still. They can either try to answer this board as much as possible, remove as many things as possible, and stay down or hold it down for 1 more turn. And then the turn after, they can potentially try to have them deck out. Goes into the promo Gaomon, suspends down the DexDoru. Since it is a DexDoru, it doesn't really have any protection or counterplay at this moment. Goes into Grand Gale. Once again, would it suspend itself to gain Digimon immunity, which does last till the end of opponent's turn, so that they don't have to rely on the starter deck Zephagamon to keep unsuspending in order to get that protection. Or do they just want to suspend down a suspended target already? Looks like they're skipping that entirely. They're going to go into EX7 Zephaga. EX7 Zephaga, when Digivolving, is going to attempt to either suspend itself to bottom deck, or no, it looks like they're going for an attack, Vortex attack. Yep, looks like they're going for a Vortex attack using the when Digivolving and when attacking effect of Zephaga, which is not once per turn, by the way, to suspend itself, bottom decking the other Dorugamon, and then unsuspending, ending it with a blocker with Shoto as well, and also having Piercing, putting them down to 0 security, and passes the turn to Dorugamon with only 2 cards left in their deck, 1 final egg to hatch, and 0 security, but 4 memory to work with here. Is there a way? If Dorugoramon is able to go into deck Dorugrave once again, potentially going into a Dorugora, they may have a chance to push for game. But as soon as they Digivolve, they will have to draw a card, forcing them to be in the last turn, essentially. Going for the Mind Link first with Cracker Fang. Looks like they're unable to proceed any further, so Zephagamon does take game 1 right here after a lot of back and forth, which is really, really nice to see. Ooh, what a game right there. What a game. It did seem like it's basically a battle of who can outlast Control, who can, you know, keep the resources in. Thinking back, Zephagamon plays fairly similarly, I guess, to the black base DexDoru, but with the purple base DexDoru, they do have a lot of consistency, but also it's a lot of control, seeing if they have it to sort of answer the board, get rid of the stack bit by bit. But as we can see, it is kind of tough for Dorugoramon just because the Digimon Effect immunity does shut down a lot of the removal on Dorugoramon's side. All right, they're just getting ready for game 2. Looks like Zephagamon is starting off first. Rookie in the back, rookie in the front, goes for a search. Does get the double hits, Star Deck Zephaga and a Grand Gale to the hand. Now, if they have a level 4 to work with, that is a clear line to basically climb all the way up potentially. Dorugoramon starts off with Wisdom, Luga in the back, searches. It would be ideal if they have an Analog Youth here, just to put the opponent back to 1 memory, but looks like they go into Dorugamon, Digivolve in the back, which is equally just as good, just to give them as little resources to work with as possible. They're going to go ahead and go for early chip damage, swing into Yuji, which is going to be value for Dorugoramon, because when they come out with Doruga the next turn, they get to gain a memory, they get to draw a card as well, and they looks like they're Digivolving into the starter deck Galemon at the back, putting the opponent back to 1 memory here. So this is the opportunity to see if Dorugamon wants to come out. They're still missing a SOC tamer, but they're still going to come out either way. So they get to gain 1 and draw 1 with Yuji. Cycling is really important here. As long as they have a follow-up with a rookie in the back for the next turn, they just need to draw and cycle. They get to pitch away a card with Doruga, draw another as well. Looks like they're just going to go straight into DexDorugoramon here. Using DexDoruga to pitch away the DexDorugora, setting that up so that they can potentially answer any board of Zephagamons. And de-digivolve and also delete, which is good. Pops off the Terramon because there is a Dorugamon underneath it. So it pops a 4 cost instead of drawing an additional card. And here we're going to see if they're going to end with a level 5, or it looks like they're going to end with an AG. Gain a memory back off Luga. Mind Link right here. And they could potentially use a Wisdom Training to give 1 memory back to the opponent. And by going into a level 5, they can establish the first stack there. In this moment, it's probably best for the Zephagamon players just to continue to set up and Digivolve, either whether in the back or play a Tamer or go for some searching options here in this moment. And try not to come out too soon until they're ready to do so. We know they have the Zephaga starter deck ready to go the next turn following after. So this really comes down to how they want to set up with Dorugoramon. May not be in their best interest to go into a Dorugoramon just yet, even with Mind Link, just because there's nothing on the board for them to actually pop here in this moment. So it does put them in a little bit of an awkward spot. There's one way they can sort of try to build in the back a little bit for the next turn answer, but looks like they want to go straight into Dorugoramon here with Protoform, reducing the Digivolution cost by 1. Nothing to pop, unfortunately, but that's okay. Maybe they just want to go ahead and start attacking if they want to. But without Digimon on the opponent's side of the board, they're not going to be able to force a collision, not going to be able to force an unsuspend. But we know they are pressuring the opponent, letting them know that they have an answer with DexDorugora in trash as well. So they're not afraid at this moment. They have the tools that they need for the counterplay. Checks into the security Galemon. Once again, really clutch, putting in the work, which actually happens, and they get to play out the Terramon search. Just like the last game, which we saw, which is really, really crucial. And having that check helps Terramon a lot because they can actually climb up all over again. They have additional resources to work with now. Having that free search and having that free body just from that is definitely ultra value. This is why I meant when Dorugoramon is somewhat similar to Zephaga, because they really get the best optimal abilities and effects when there's a Digimon on the opponent's side of the board before they start attacking, so they can use collision, unsuspend, you know, play stuff back out. Same for Zephagamon. Zephagamon's best interest is to have opponent to have a Digimon on their side so they can actually swing over, pierce, you know, do all the Vortex combos, which, Yeah, both decks are actually very, very similar when it comes to the top end goal and sort of like the condition to sort of like pressure and try to establish advantages. Goes for Vortex Resonance, goes for a search. We can see another Zephagamon. And is that the Terramon? Oh no, it is a Gaomon. The promo Gaomon from the Evolution Cup. Which then allows them to go into a Zephagamon essentially for free. Suspending down the Dorugoramon, and this is the EX7 Zephaga. They have an opportunity to attempt to bottom deck the Dorugora. And it makes sense to play around it and not try to attack over it just because we know they do have the DexDorugora. So by bottom decking it, they won't be able to access that DexDorugoramon. And this puts them back to one memory to work with only and a Lugamon to the back, but they can still potentially try and answer the board on this side. They have AG, they have Wisdom Training, they have UG as well to work with. They can gain a ton if they do choose to push out in this one go. And they can gain quite a lot of resources, and they can potentially taunt and try to take opportunity of this board on the Zephagamon side, because they want to, by clearing it, you know, they can get the momentum back on their hands. And the opponent doesn't have a Shoto to work with just yet, which is really crucial to try to maximize the output as they're swinging, as they're attacking. Lugamon does come out. Yuji's going to gain one. They're going to draw one. AG's going to gain another one. Effectively being like having a memory setter at this point. They also do have the option with the Baomon. Can't really see if it's the BT17 Baomon, but if they do have it, they can potentially go into a Dorugamon to taunt, which is definitely a really good access of consistency. This is actually the first time I've really seen the purple-based Dorugoramon in action. And, you know, I'm finding it very interesting how being able to access your trash thanks to the BT17 Baomon is actually really good, because you can keep your sources cycling, because it gives you that kind of consistency where once you see your first sort of like stack or line of play, and once they're in the trash already, you can keep using them over and over again, and you don't have to worry as much. So it looks like they're going to Digivolve from the hand here into Dorugamon. Dorugamon is going to trash one and draw one. Mind Link with AG underneath. Using Wisdom to go into Dorugray for 1 cost. And potentially they can go for a collision attack, go into Dorugora for free as well, and they can actually clear this entire board. Dorugray goes for attack, collision happens, Zephagamon is forced to block. Will they go into DexDoru? Looks like they're going to Dorugora instead. Dorugoramon is not going to be able to pop anything at this moment. But it does have enough DP, or does it not have enough DP? It does have enough DP to go over the Zephaga and gets to unsuspend. Since Zephaga is gone, they get to play out Tyranno back from the trash, search for more pieces, find more cards that they can set up. Grabbing the Cracker Fang here. And then afterwards, they have the choice to either get rid of the Terramon, or they can go for Alliance 2 checks as well. And I think it's best interest to try to remove the board as much as possible, just because that Terramon could potentially, you know, Digivolve and act as resource here and try to take advantage while it's still suspended. Looks like they want to go for security instead. There might be a way for them to remove the suspended Terramon just before they end their turn as well. Goes for Alliance 2 checks. No security effects just yet. And let's see how Dorugora is going to end their turn. They could potentially just hard evo into a DexDorugora to try to remove that Terramon. Or they can set up a Tamer. Or they're maybe not just too worried about the Terramon on the board either, just because with 2 memory to work with and no Shotos, there's not going to be enough resource for them to actually make a clapback at this moment either. Goes into Gaomon and ends with a Shoto. Oh, Gaomon is going to play the Shoto out for free. Ends the turn with a Grand Gale as well. They can at least give the Grand Gale a blocker. They want to suspend their own Grand Gale to give it Digimon effect immunity, which lasts. Oh, okay. It looks like they're going for the Vortex attack instead over into Tyranno. Suspend Shoto to give it blocker and piercing. And this is the point where they can actually just threaten for a Mega Gargo Ace if they have it as well. But even with Mega Gargo Ace, it doesn't seem like it's going to have enough DP to actually overcome it. So the Dorugoramon player is sitting in a decent position. You know, they have more Tamers established. They have a Lugamon at the back ready to go the next turn following. They're gaining a lot of resources as well. You know, they still have the opportunity to go for Collision, forcing a block to try and remove that Grand Gale on the board. Suspending Yuji, tucking underneath a DexDorugoramon. And if this goes through, so yeah, they are going to have to block. If it goes through, they can play something out off of Dorugoramon as well. Looks like there's no response on the other end. So Dorugora will unsuspend, play out another Digimon back. And this is an opportunity to go for Alliance 2 checks, possibly. Or if they have certain pieces, they could actually just end the game as well. Tyrannomon is going to be able to fetch out 2 pieces, trashing away DexDorugora. So then they're setting up for the counterplay if Dorugoramon is ever in threat. Going into DexDoru themselves. Mind Link with AG. Alliance for 2 checks. Finds a Shoto in there. And a Zephaga, which is not enough to take out the DexDoru, but the DexDorugoramon can delete and unsuspend with DexDorugora and forcing a game 3 right here. Whoa. Is this going to be another comeback here? We're going to see. Really, really cool. Ooh, what a game. What a match so far. Really enjoying it. Lots of back and forth on both sides. And yeah, so far we can see it's always about the amount of resources when it comes to this matchup. Like, who can establish the most resources? as quickly as possible, because the more resources they have early, it provides them better value in the long term later in the grind game. And then when it comes down to the grind game, of course, you know, whoever has the resources will be able to apply even more pressure, but each deck on its own has a lot of potential to answer and respond and clap back and clear the other side of the board. So it looks like Zephaga decides to choose to go first here, searching, starting off with agility training, grabbing a Gaomon, no rookie to be found, whereas DexDorugoramon goes into a Luga, and sets up a Demon Wolf Castle for search. Being able to grab a DexDorugoramon and trashes it, setting it up for future plays. Now, was Zephagamon able to find a rookie? Looks like not quite just yet. Looks like they're just coming down with a Shoto, setting up a little bit, so the moment when they do, they can get some value off of it. Lugamon pushes out and attempts for immediately attack. Follows up with Analog, continues to find pieces, and goes into Dorugamon. Apologies, guys. There's so many pronunciations with the Doru this, Doru that. I keep messing it up. But goes into a Dorugamon to end the turn. Unfortunately, no rookie to be found, so they're going to hard drop down the Gaomon. Gaomon does have Vortex, which has piercing thanks to Shoto as well, and go for an aggressive attack just to get rid of the Dorugamon. And looks like it's time of the round. And this match actually ends with a draw without being able to complete. Wow.